What's up guys, welcome back to the Spoiled Brat Films YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Nick Hernandez. I am the owner of Spoiled Brat Films, and if you like what you see today, please consider subscribing. We're going to do more videos like this in the future. Now the video you're about to watch was actually part of a larger video that I filmed last month. In that video, I spoke about all of the horror content that I consumed during the month of October. I originally planned to put it out for Halloween, but obviously that never happened. Due to technical difficulties, I couldn't finish editing the video in time for Halloween, so I decided instead to take that long video and split it into smaller videos. I didn't reshoot any of that footage, so it's exactly the same as it was in that longer video. And over the next few weeks, I'm gonna release each individual video until you get the entire thing. Because these reviews were originally for a longer video, they're kind of shorter than my usual reviews, so these are just kind of my brief thoughts. So without further ado, let's get to it. Now the next 4 films we're going to talk about are all Blumhouse productions, starting with Unfriended and its sequel Unfriended Dark Web. I went into both of these films with super low expectations, but they really surprised me. They're pretty enjoyable laptop horror films. The first film deals with a supernatural element with Laura Barnes, who killed herself after an embarrassing video went out on the internet and she started getting bullied. She then comes back as a supernatural presence and tries to punish the people who may or may not have been responsible for her suicide. The film obviously comments on bullying, and especially online bullying, and how that can completely ruin somebody's life, which is a pretty relevant theme. Slight spoiler, but I like the way that Laura Barnes forces each of the people to kill themselves in different ways. I think there's some solid kills in here, and there's some really tense moments like the Never Have I Ever sequence. Now the one thing that really bugged me about this movie was the very last part of the movie. Again, spoiler, but there's a jump scare at the end with the final survivor, which implies that Laura Barnes killed that survivor. It just looked cheap and it didn't really fit with the rest of the film, and it just felt really unnecessary. We didn't need it. Honestly, I think the better ending would have been if the person would have survived and had to deal with all the guilt after Laura Barnes exposed them for what they did to her. Could have been really powerful and showed how people have to take responsibility for their actions and live with the repercussions, but they decided not to end it that way. They wanted to go for a cheap jump scare, and that kind of soured me, but the rest of the film was really enjoyable. It's not great. There's another similar horror movie that came out earlier this year called Host that was done during the pandemic, and I think that one is a pretty perfect laptop film, so go check that one out. But I'd give the first Unfriended a good 3 stars. Let's move on to the sequel, Unfriended Dark Web. Now Unfriended Dark Web does away with the supernatural element and instead focuses on, well, what the title says, the dark web. Now I think that's a really fascinating choice because most people who've seen the first film would go into this expecting a supernatural element, but honestly I kind of like that they focused on the dark web. To me it's so much scarier because it's real life. The dark web is a real thing. Just to think about people watching you through your cameras, or that there's videos out there, snuff films of people getting killed on camera, is so scary, and that's a really interesting premise to me. Now even though I like the premise, I didn't really think it had a great execution, especially the kills, which I found really lame. You don't really see much of the kills. Honestly, this could have been a PG-13 film, and then some of the other kills you just see coming a mile away. Now there's one kill that I really did like, even though we still didn't really see much of it, but it involved the police. That kill I did not expect, and I thought it was really smart when it came to this premise of the dark web and the internet and everything. I like that kill a lot. So with that said, the story did keep me invested even though the execution wasn't great, but I enjoyed it overall. I think the ending would have been better if it was something different, but I liked it overall. Now, which one do I like more, the first or the second? Right now I'm kind of leaning towards the second just because of the premise and how much it kept me invested. But again, the first one had so many good kills and was interesting itself with its commentary on bullying. So I don't know, they're kind of even to me for different reasons. I'd give Unfriended Dark Web about 3.5 stars, just slightly more than the first one, though that might change with rewatches. The next Blumhouse film we're going to be talking about is Nocturne, starring Sydney Sweeney and Madison Iseman. Nocturne centers around these twins who are both musicians, Madison Iseman's character being kind of the star of the family and Sydney Sweeney being jealous of all the attention that Madison Iseman's character gets. This jealousy overcomes Sydney Sweeney, and she promises to do anything she can to outshine her sister and get the praise that she feels she deserves. I think a lot of creatives, including myself, can relate to that premise of having the need to be perfect and sometimes letting that get the better of you, which is ultimately destructive. Performances all around are solid. Sydney Sweeney and Madison Iseman are both good, as well as everyone else that they surround themselves with in the movie. Pacing isn't great. There were certain scenes that I was really kind of bored and kind of just on my phone scrolling, which I don't like to do. But then there was other scenes that I was really invested in. So it's kind of hit or miss when it comes to pacing. The story was interesting though, even if it was kind of predictable, but I still liked it. And the final shot in this film I think is fantastic. One of my favorite final shots of any movie I've seen this year. Overall, Nocturne wasn't one of my favorite films of the year, but it was enjoyable enough. I'd give it about 3 stars. Now the final Blumhouse film that I'm going to be talking about is an entry into Hulu's Into the Dark series, and it's called My Valentine. My Valentine stars Britt Baron as aspiring pop artist Valentine Fox, who's in a very toxic relationship with her manager slash boyfriend, who after they break up decides to steal Valentine's entire personality, give it to another pop star, and make her famous. This other pop star, her name is Treasure, and one day Valentine decides she has enough with it and she's going to take back what her ex-boyfriend Royal took from her. Then one day at one of Valentine's gigs with her best friend, she ends up getting stuck at the venue with her ex-boyfriend and his new girlfriend pop star, and shit goes down. I've only seen 2 of these films in the Into the Dark series, this one and New Year, New You with Suki Waterhouse. The reason why I watched New Year, New You was because of Suki Waterhouse, and the reason why I watched this one was because of Britt Baron. Britt Baron was on Netflix's Glow, and I love her on there, so I decided, you know what, let me check this one out. Where My Valentine really excels is its visual style, its campiness, and its over-the-top performances. The entire movie looks and feels like a music video with its editing and its neon lighting, which is obviously perfect for what the story is. The film really tackles some interesting themes like toxic relationships and identity and codependency and manipulative romantic partners. Unfortunately, the script is kind of thin, so the execution doesn't end up being as powerful as it could have been. Still, it ends with a positive message, so I guess the film does its job. When it comes to performances, Britt Baron is great in both the wacky scenes and the dramatic scenes. Anna Akana plays her no bullshit BFF in the film, and she does it very convincingly. I really liked her performance in this film. Benedict Samuel plays Valentine's ex-boyfriend Royal, and his performance is meant to be like really over the top, but sometimes I feel like he went a little bit too over the top. Like the entire movie he was just like a fucking psychopath, which I guess kind of works, but for me I wished he would have reserved it a little bit during the more emotional scenes. But Anna Lore, on the other hand, who plays the other pop star Treasure, I think has the perfect amount of ridiculousness. Her character is like the stereotypical pop star and is like really whiny and annoying at times, but it's perfect for this film. Tiffany Smith is in this film, who I became a fan of through her affiliation with the Schmoes Know, and she was in Supernatural. But anyways, her and Sean J. Brown I think did well with what they were given, but they were honestly just criminally underutilized. They're both incredible talents, and their characters were pretty much throwaway and served no purpose to the plot. Overall, My Valentine is an enjoyable entry in Hulu's Into the Dark series. It has a lot of style and it parodies the music industry while still addressing some relatable and serious topics. I give this one 3 stars. And that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts. If you liked the video, please like and comment on it. Like I said in the intro, we're gonna have more videos like this in the future, so please subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to follow me and Spoiled Brat Films across all social media. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at @TheNickAnthony. You can find Spoiled Brat Films on Instagram at Spoiled Brat Films and on Twitter at SpoiledBTweets. And if you want even more reviews from me, follow me on Letterboxd. I review movies on there all the time. They're brief reviews and I review movies on there constantly. Thank you guys, and until next time, I'm Nick Hernandez, and I'll see you later.